So day one of the 2018 NFL Scouting Combine is in the books. I love this time of year, especially when we get to the Combine, because that's when things really start to fit together, really start to piece together, and we really get into the heart of draft season. And I don't know about you guys, but I absolutely live for it, and I love it, and I want more. But again, day one has already been in the books, and I'm here to talk about the winners and losers from day one of the Combine action. It was running backs and offensive linemen that did the drills, that took the field, that did all the tests. Who won and who lost? Well, let's start off with the winners. The running backs, Saquon Barkley. Super freak. Look at what he ran in the 40. Look at his vertical. Look at his bench press, 29 reps in the bench press. I mean, he was outlifting a lot of offensive linemen. I don't think this was a surprise to anyone that Barkley was going to ball out, that he was going to freak out at the Combine. And all he did was athletically cement himself as a top 5 pick in this draft. So he's a big winner. Nick Chubb, I thought, was a big winner. He ran better in the 40 than Sony Michel, his teammate, and a guy that was getting a lot more buzz at the same position from the same school. He ran faster than him. He also put up 29 reps in the bench. He went almost 39 inches in the vertical. He looked more explosive than I thought he did in 2017. He looked good. He looked solid. It was a good day for Nick Chubb. It probably helped cement a second-round draft position for him, whereas before he was kind of teetering in. He could have been in the round 3 range. I think now he's firmly in the round 2 territory. Kalen Ballage from Arizona State. He's one of those height, weight, speed guys that typically show out in this type of format, and he certainly didn't disappoint in that respect. If you love the height, weight, speed type of guys and you believe in the athletic potential of a guy like Kalen Ballage, then this is the type of performance you were looking for. 6'1", 228 pounds. He's running mid-4.4s in the 40. He looks explosive. You know, you can envision the potential, the possibility of what he could be. Not necessarily reality of who he's always been as a player or as a prospect, but you can get caught up in the tangible measurements and get really teased. So this was a productive day for him that might help him get into the round 2 conversation. Darius Geis of LSU ran sub 4.5 in the 40, which is probably all he needed to do. He looked solid in pretty much everything else. He made it through all the drills, unlike Ronald Jones. And for that, if nothing else, as much as for what happened with Ronald Jones as opposed to what happened for Darius Geis, he probably wins here because he probably firmly cemented himself, at least at this point, as the number 2 running back in this draft class. And then I'll go to Rashad Penny, another guy from San Diego State. You even heard like Mike Mayock talking about he was a little low on him probably and need to go reevaluate him some more. Penny ran 4.46 in the 40, looked good in some of the drills. That was all he needed to do. He may still get taken in round 3, but he was the type of guy before that I feared that because of the system that he played in and because of maybe some concerns about deep speed, that he could end up being an early day 3 guy. He's probably saved himself from that fate at this point. The offensive lineman, Will Hernandez, great workout numbers. He showed out in the drills. He looked all types of crazy athletics, surprised a lot of people, I think, especially those that maybe didn't pay that much close attention to his film. I thought he cemented himself as a top 32 pick in this draft. I really, really did. And, of course, I got some heat and some buzz on Saturday when I sat there and dared suggest that the gap between him and Quentin Nelson is not that great. And Quentin Nelson is not that much better than Will Hernandez. And if you actually bother to watch the film and you actually watch both of these players and you take aside the years plus worth of media hype for Quentin Nelson, you realize that I'm not that far off base. Hernandez is a player, and Hernandez showed out really, really, really well. And when you've got multiple guys that were associated with the Ravens like Steve Smith and Daniel Jeremiah that are comparing him to Marshall Yanda, you know you've had yourself a pretty good scouting combine. Austin Corbett, the guard from Nevada, he showed athleticism, and I felt like he firmly cemented his place in round 2 of the draft. This is a good interior line class, so after those first few big-name guys, what happens to the next tier of guys? Corbett's at the top of that next tier, and he had himself a good productive day. James Daniels, the center from Iowa. I wonder at this point if there's any doubt that he might get taken in the top 32 picks. I mean, he looked smooth. He looked athletic. I knew he didn't run the 40, but frankly, he didn't need to. He looked like in some of the drills, he was playing with his fellow offensive linemen. He had footwork and athleticism for days. It was crazy, and teams are going to look at that and say, man, I want that in the middle of my offensive line. Colton Miller, the tackle from UCLA, he put up some top-notch athletic numbers, and he flashed some left tackle ability. I thought it was a good day for him. I thought it was a really good day for him. And Desmond Harrison, the tackle from West Georgia. I know he's had some off-the-field concerns, and I'm still really concerned about his lack of natural bend, his pad level, his leverage. But he's got length, he's got height, and he's got incredible athleticism. Look at what he ran in the 40. Look at how he was in the drills, especially when you're talking about the kick slide drill, and he's beating the defensive lineman to the spot, or the offensive lineman to the spot. It was just crazy. He showed out really, really well athletically. Again, this is the type of forum that guys like him can really shine. And what it probably did was, because of that athletic upside, even with some of the player flaws and perhaps some of the character flaws, he cemented a day 2 pick for himself, which was huge, because otherwise he could have very well been in the 5th to 6th round day 3 type of territory because of the character flaws. But now people get to see him, and they see that footwork, and they see that natural athleticism. Teams are going to be drooling over that. So they're not always looking for choir boys. They're going to look for a dude like him that has that type of athletic potential, because if he can live up to that athletic potential, he'll be the best offensive tackle in this draft class. So those were the winners. What about the losers? Well, start off with running back Ronald Jones II. It was unfortunate as he was running his first 40. He injured his hamstring and he missed the rest of the drills. This was a chance for him to perhaps get some separation between him and Darius Geis for who was the number 2 running back in this draft class. This was a chance for him to probably show out and establish himself, if anything else, as a first-round pick, and all that quickly went by the wayside. I feel like he still should be a first-round pick based off of his film, but I know some teams are going to have some concerns, and the fact is that other running backs did very well, and Jones wasn't able to participate, so it's not going to help him. Akram Wadley from Iowa ran mid-4.5s, which is really slow at only 194 pounds, mediocre vertical, didn't show a lot of explosiveness. A smaller guy with limited explosiveness, limited speed, is going to limit him, and he's going to definitely be a day 3 guy now. Sony Michel, I didn't think he looked terrible, but that 40 time of mid-4.5s doesn't help him. It probably cost him a first-round draft selection. He might still go between like picks 33 to 40 for sure, but he still could have lost some money when Nick Chubb ran faster than him as a bigger back. Now, ultimately, you look at a similarity, the guy he's compared to a lot in Kamara. Kamara did not run well at the 40 at the combine, and he plays much faster than his 40 time was, similar to Michel, so maybe it won't matter that much, but this was the type of thing you would think a Michel would go in there and light it up a little bit more, and he just really didn't. Also, Jordan Wilkins from Ole Miss. I was looking forward to seeing him because I started to study him. I started to like some things, and he went out and ran a 4.71 in the 40. Now, look, I know I'm bringing up these 40 times a lot. Combine winners and losers is not necessarily about what I think, but it is about what these scouts, executives think. And when they see a guy like Wilkins at only 214, 215 pounds run a 4.71, they're going to wonder if he has the juice to be a feature back at the NFL level. So not the best performance for him. And then in terms of the offensive lineman, Billy Price got the bad luck award of the day. This is a guy that had made so many consecutive starts. He was reliable. He was consistent. A potential top 32 pick in this draft. Part of this great interior line class. And then during the bench press, he tears his pectoral muscle. Give me a break. You talk about bad timing. Now, he still could potentially be a top 32 pick, but he more likely not slides into early round 2 territory, which could cost him some money, cost him a potential 5th-year guaranteed option year at the end of his rookie contract. It's a very costly injury and a very poorly timed injury at that. I think, but beyond question, the biggest loser in terms of offensive linemen and just period day number 1 has to be Orlando Brown Jr. from the Oklahoma Sooners. He might as well have not shown up. He might as well have not shown up. Because if that was the performance he was going to put up, the worst thing he could have done was shown up. His 40 time was horrible. The drills looked terrible. He just looked at times like he didn't want to be there. You heard coaches kind of getting on him a little bit for loafing during the drills. Now, you can sit there and talk about the tape, and he plays better than he tests. Maybe, maybe not. But the real truth is Orlando Brown to me was never a first-round talent to begin with. So many flaws, so many holes in his game. And all this really piss-poor performance at the Combine did was further validate some of those flaws that I've seen on tape, seen on film for him. He is not a first-round talent, and I'll be stunned if he's taken in the first round now, because a lot of teams are going to have to really, really, really be super confident in their tape evaluation to overlook the historically bad performance in the 40 and just how bad he looked in other places and other ways in the drills. It was a bad, bad day for Orlando Brown, and probably cost himself a good chunk of money. Not necessarily a forum for him that was going to showcase what he did well, but again, only 14 reps in the bench, long arms my ass. He plays stronger than 14 reps, but not as much stronger as you might think. And a guy that you would think at times shows some athleticism on film, when you see some of the athletic numbers he posted, it really makes you wonder, is he really all that athletic? And for teams that were on the fence about whether or not he could play left tackle at the NFL level, the Combine probably sunk his hopes there. He's probably destined for right tackle, and even some teams will be concerned about him playing there, especially because some teams now can line up their best pass rusher on the left side of the defense. So right tackle have to have better feet than they used to as well. And Orlando Brown didn't show much of anything during the Combine. But there we go. Those are who I thought were some of the biggest winners and losers of day one of the 2018 NFL Scouting Combine. Let me know what you think of my winners and losers. Let me know who you thought were some of the winners and losers. I will be back soon for a day two winners and losers video. I hope you enjoyed this one.